On a rainy Sunday morning at 11:00 a.m., a 28-year-old man sat on the edge of his bed and realized his life was a graveyard of unfinished projects and broken promises. He had spent 10 years running away from a childhood secret he thought was a curse, only to realize it was the only thing that could save him. Today, we uncover the mystery of the rice field secret, a 5-word philosophy that turns ordinary people into masters of their own destiny. Why do some people achieve their wildest dreams, while others stay stuck in entry-level jobs watching their classmates succeed from the sidelines? It isn't talent, and it isn't luck. It's a secret, hidden in the pre-dawn darkness of a small farming village. David's story is the story of every person who has ever hit the snooze button on their dreams, waiting for the perfect time to start. By the end of this video, you will understand why the rice doesn't care about the weather, and how those 5 words will change your life forever. We often mistake discipline for cruelty because we don't see the long-term protection it provides. David's father forced him into the fields at 5:00 a.m. every single day, regardless of the weather, monsoon drought or freezing winter. 30 years ago, in a village nestled between green mountains, 8-year-old David lived a life of rhythmic torture. Every morning at 5:00 a.m. before the sun painted the sky, a heavy hand would shake him awake. "Time to work, son. The fields are waiting." Young David would groan, his small body heavy with sleep, begging for just 5 more minutes. His father never accepted excuses. David would stumble out into the darkness, water dripping from his hair in the pouring rain, crying as he walked. He would ask, "Papa, why do we have to go when it's raining?" His father's response was always the same: because the rice doesn't care about the weather. It needs care every day. David grew up hating that field. He viewed his father as unfair and cruel, especially when he saw other families sleeping in on rainy days. He didn't understand that the cruelty was actually a masterclass in survival. David swore that the moment he turned 18, he would leave and never wake up at 5:00 a.m. again. He got his wish, but the freedom he found was more dangerous than the fields he left behind. Without an internal structure, external freedom leads to stagnation and unfulfilled potential. Proof from sources. In the city, David abandoned his discipline. He graduated, barely failed 3 businesses, and was stuck in an entry-level job by age 28. David moved to the capital city for university, chasing a life that didn't start in the rain. He was finally free. No one was shaking him awake. No one was forcing him into the mud. But this freedom became a ghost that haunted him. He would set big goals, study before class, build a meaningful business, but every morning he would tell himself just 10 more minutes. Those minutes became hours. He spent his days scrolling on his phone, telling himself he'd start tomorrow. By 28, he was living paycheck to paycheck. One Sunday, he woke up at 11:00 a.m., looked at his unfinished projects and unpaid bills, and realized he was staying in place while the world passed him by. He sat on his bed, head in his hands, and that old hated phrase echoed in his mind: "The rice doesn't care about the weather." He realized he hadn't escaped the fields. He had just lost the only thing that made him strong. That night he bought a train ticket to find the man he once called cruel. David arrived at his childhood home just before sunrise. He found his 58-year-old father already preparing for the fields. They walked in silence through the pre-dawn darkness, the air cold and a light rain falling. When they reached the mud, David finally asked the question that had been burning in his chest for a decade. "Papa, why did you make me wake up so early every single day, rain or shine?" His father didn't look up. He said, "David, do you see these plants? On sunny, warm, energizing days, everyone works. Those are easy days." He pulled a weed and continued, "But most days are not perfect. Too hot, too cold, too wet. If I only worked on perfect days, my family would starve." Then he looked David in the eyes and delivered the secret: "Motivation is weather, son. Some days it's there, most days it's not. But discipline is showing up regardless of the weather." David realized his father wasn't teaching him to farm. He was teaching him that consistency beats intensity. He was teaching him that the world doesn't care if you're tired. It only cares if you show up. Real change requires a non-negotiable period of time to overwrite years of bad habits. Proof from sources: David committed to a 90-day challenge, 5:00 a.m. every single day, with no exceptions for any weather, literal or metaphorical. David returned to the city, but he brought the field with him. He set his alarm for 4:55 a.m. The first morning was a battle. His body screamed to stay in bed. His mind created 100 excuses. But he whispered, "The rice doesn't care about the weather," and he got up. By day 3, it was raining, and the bed felt like a sanctuary. He got up anyway. By day 12, a Sunday, the temptation to sleep in like his friends was overwhelming. He got up anyway. He realized that the 90-day rule wasn't about the work itself. It was about reclaiming the power to keep a promise to himself. Around week 3, the mystery revealed a secondary benefit, a tactical advantage that most of the world completely ignores. Discipline creates a quiet space where momentum is built far away from the distractions of the world. Proof from sources: David discovered 2 quiet hours before the world woke up where there were no emails or distractions. In 30 days, he completed more work than in the previous 3 years. In those hours between 5:00 a.m. and 7:00 a.m., David was in a different world. While his competitors were sleeping, he was building his 4th business idea. This time was different because he showed up every day motivated or not tired or energized. By day 60, he was making money. By day 90, he had momentum, a force that made the hard work feel automatic. The 5:00 a.m. rule taught him a deeper truth: if he could do one hard thing consistently, he could do anything consistently. He applied it to his health, his savings, and his learning. 1 year later, he quit his job. 3 years later, he was financially free. But the story doesn't end with money. It ends with a scene that brings the entire mystery full circle. The greatest legacy you can leave is not wealth, but the character required to build it. Proof from sources: 5 years after his transformation, David took his own son to the fields to pass on the lesson. David stood in the same rice fields with his 8-year-old son. When he woke the boy at 5:00 a.m., the boy groaned, "Papa, I'm tired. Can't we sleep more?" David knelt beside him and said, "I know you're tired, but someday you'll understand. This isn't about rice. This is about becoming someone who keeps promises to himself, rain or shine." He realized his father hadn't been cruel. He had been giving him the gift of integrity. The alarm still rings at 5:00 a.m. for David today, not because he needs the money, but because he refuses to let the weather dictate who he is. Now the question is, what will you do when your alarm goes off tomorrow? David's story is your story. The secret to success is that there is no secret motivation trick. Success is the 90-day framework. Choose one non-negotiable goal. Do it for 90 days straight. Expect bad weather, the tiredness, the sickness, the excuses, and show up anyway, because your dreams don't care if it's raining. Don't hit snooze on your life again. Set your alarm 30 minutes earlier tonight. Comment below with the one thing you are committing to for the next 90 days. Let's hold each other accountable. Show up tomorrow, rain or shine.